CELA presents. Supporting CELA patrons without CDs, a CELA library chat session.
Because we intend to put it up on the website in a couple of weeks, just for people who weren't able to attend this session. So the purpose of this session, I think, is to hear from libraries what options you're considering or maybe you're already using to serve patrons with print disabilities in light of CELA's decision for financial and practical reasons to discontinue production and circulation of audiobooks on CD as of July 31st, 2025. So we're very happy today to have the following library staff to help us kick off the discussion by sharing their practical experience serving patrons with print disabilities in new ways. So I'm just going to introduce the speakers in chronological order. First, we have Janice Finkle, who works with extension services / home delivery services at Kingston-Frontenac Public Library in Ontario. She's going to be talking about lending out preloaded Envoy Connect devices. Next, we'll hear from Luke Gray, who's with Calgary Public Library, and he'll be talking about loading books onto SD cards for use on a variety of players and devices. And finally, we'll hear from Tara Glaspey, who works at South Interlake Regional Library in Manitoba. She'll be speaking to us about lending out Wi-Fi configured Victor Stratus players preloaded with books. After these brief presentations, there'll be lots of time for you to ask questions and share your own experiences of the various options for providing audiobooks and magazines to patrons with print disabilities, options that you're considering or options that you've already started using. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Janice Finkle from Kingston Public Library, and I'm just going to get her little slideshow prepped here. So take it away, Janice.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm just talking about the assistive devices we use, and that's mainly the Envoy Connect. We do have Daisy players, but we don't have the option of a direct-to-player link because of internal security. So we've been really trying to work with people on using the the Envoy Connects. So in the next slide. Faylene's helping me out here with that. So we have presently 2 Envoy Connects, and we're looking at adding to our numbers. I haven't heard of the exact number yet, but patrons can borrow the devices for up to 6 weeks. And the thing is, a lot of people, they need to feel comfortable. And with a lot of my patrons who are in homes and with low vision, a lot of times they need to have a support person. And because I work with extension services and home deliveries, I'm usually working with people who are homebound and not able to get into the branch to learn those kind of things. So I do work with a lot of carers to help the person to coordinate. I did put up we have connecting patrons with supports in the community. We have a vision loss and rehabilitation service through the CNIB, and they will do home visits. And there's also a resource, Connected Canadians, and we don't have access to that in Kingston now. It started in Ottawa, but I thought it was an excellent resource, and we are working towards discussing with people the idea of volunteering and possibly being able to work with people that need assistance with the technology. So we're in the process of exploring that. So the next slide.
Oh.
Okay. So as I mentioned, we're doing the transition from books to the Envoy Connect, or in cases, I do have one patron that I recorded who was using CDs and finding it difficult. And with the Envoy, she was really anxious about trying a new technology, but I did record her feedback just to give you an idea of what she liked about the device and how the carer in her home helped her with this recording. So on the next slide, I was just going to present what she talked about.
Okay.
Okay.
Prior to the Envoy, you were using your boombox with multiple discs that you had to change. Did you find that difficult?
Yes, I found using the multiple disc package a little bit awkward because it's very dependent on where I'm positioned in a room and whether I can reach it easily and manipulate the discs in the boombox myself. The storage facility, it worked out best for my circumstance, but I get no more than 5 books a month, and I can go from there.
Mm-hmm. And so now the system you're using, the Envoy Connect, we can hold up to 25 books.
Yes, I'm very impressed with the motive behind the technology. I think it's superb. The nice thing is I don't have to worry about losing a disc. It's all together in one place. But the technology is a superb idea, mm-hmm. and would be very, very helpful, I think, to anyone listening to audiobooks that way.
So it wasn't the audio instructions on the machine were not enough to get you going.
No.
Okay.
I think now I'm at a stage where when I have the information I have a list of all the books that are on the technology, and I know where the on-off button is, mm-hmm. and I'm in the process of trying to find some little iridescent dots or something that will mark the button I need to push to do a forward or a back or any of the other things like selecting another book.
Yes, because it's blue on blue.
That's right.
There's no color gradation.
That's right.
Did you feel that $99, $97 is a reasonable cost for this device?
Yes, I do. One of the beauties of the device is that it's not interrupted. I didn't have to stop and change the disc every couple of hours. And I found that my reading style means I lock into a book and I want to finish it. It makes some things impossible for some of your potential readers.
So the size of a device like that for your purposes could be larger, and that would work even better for you.
Yes, it would.
Okay. So the patron, as you heard, really likes the device. There are some feedback that we got that we probably would try to pass on. And the one thing is, if there was a color difference in the different buttons, that might help people. There are like tactile differences in the buttons that you can feel, but even if there was sort of a color difference, it might help some people. But overall, she did really like the device, and somebody just put up a note about giving a list of the books that are on the device, and that I do that, and I find it really helps, especially with people helping them, because we do load it up as much as we can if they ask for that, but there are certain books they might like to go to right away and they have to find them on the bookshelf. But as far as the price goes, it's so economical versus they try our Daisy player and then the idea of buying one, they don't necessarily aren't able to make that kind of commitment for, I think they're $600 or $700. And when I won't answer that because I don't know with the CELA how you put it in packages, but there's a case showing in my presentation coming up that we use, and it's very durable. It can't be broken. And everything goes in that, the instructions and everything like that. So if we go to the next slide.
Okay.
And so this is a reference guide that I include in the device. I also wanted to mention too, she had said it wasn't enough to get her going. The instructions that are actually on the Envoy, when you turn it on, there's vocal instructions. And we do try to offer here, we have tech tutors on staff, and I have booked a number of people that are able to come into the branch, but also their carers to get a seminar, an hours-long seminar on using the device. And that I find really helps. There's also, as I mentioned earlier, the rehabilitative vision loss through CNIB, and they can make house calls. So I do find that some people take to it right away and others need help with it to get going on it. And maybe that would be different if the color gradation was there. But these instructions do really help the carers in figuring out where to go and how to start. And then the next slide.
Next slide.
Yeah. And then this is the case that we use. And this was just bought by our IT department online. And our logo was put out by our marketing department. They used a Cricut to cut it and put it on. And I do find the cases are really durable. They hold everything you need and they're easily transportable. So we do that. And they go out with our home delivery bags and also through our courier system if they to be picked up at other branches. Oh, okay. Rachel's just answering how the people would send the device back to CELA to get it loaded. I do right now, we do offer that service through me of doing the loading, and people can just drop it and I'll load it for them and get it back to them. But it's also helpful if they can email it into CELA or mail it into CELA and then get it back. But yeah, and I mean, I think with the 25 books, that's really beneficial because for a lot of people, they wouldn't go through it that quickly and they don't have to worry about finishing a couple of books and getting it back. So, yeah. And
So is that the last slide?
I think
Jen?
so. I think it's just a thank you.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
It's just my name
Great.
and thank you very much.
Okay. I'm going to stop sharing here.
Okay.
Okay, great. So thank you very much for that. And
you're welcome.
It's great that Rachel is answering some of the questions in the chat, and we'll also take questions at the end of the presentation. So I'm going to hand it over to Luke right away.
Thanks so much. And first of all, thank you to you, Faylene, for inviting me here today to speak to all of you. And I'm sort of like really excited to sort of have a discussion about, first of all, what we do at the Calgary Public Library in terms of getting sort of material out to people and the devices that we loan out, but also for me to gain some insight into what other libraries are doing. And it's really exciting to see what Janice is doing. It's the sort of the support side of things is really a big challenge for us in terms of the patrons that we're serving and ensuring that they're able to use the devices once they come on hand. So yeah, I think it's really great for us to sort of share what it is we do, but also for us to hopefully get some ideas about how to sort of provide a service that is easily accessible for all, right? So, and I also certainly with the CELA stopping sending out discs at the end of July, it's brought to the forefront that CDs are on their way out. And even prior to when we were talking today, we were sort of having a brief discussion about book CDs and that sort of thing, and them all going away. I've really noticed in the last year and a half, like a spike in demand for downloadable audio on various players, and to the point where I'm really struggling to meet the demand these days. In years past, I was continuously sort of like trying to make people aware that there were downloadable titles available to them on various players, and people, for a whole host of reasons, would still they wanted the CDs, they wanted the Daisy discs, and I don't begrudge them for that, but we're really starting to see that transition in a multitude of places and with a multitude of people, and that's certainly encouraging. the Calgary Public Library still has a pretty robust sort of collection of DAISY discs, thanks to CELA for sending them over the years to us as part of our collection. And we'll still maintain that for a number of years, I imagine. And we still have a bunch of Stratuses on hand that we loan out throughout the city for people to use them. But I've really noticed, that demand is really peaking right now, and it's encouraging, right? And I think back to the time when downloadable ebooks and e-audiobooks came through Libby's, the system we use here. And originally it was a pretty slow uptick in demand for that. And then all of a sudden, well, originally you could go into our database and you could find a title right away, and there was no waiting on hold. And then within like about 6 months, there were long hold lines for them, and that lasts to this day, right? So I think we're seeing maybe a similar thing on a much smaller scale, but with the patrons that we serve. And so it's really great that we can get together today and talk about how we're sort of meeting that need and coming together and doing that, right? It was mentioned before by Feline, I'm here to talk about, loading books onto SD cards and that sort of thing. And yes, I do that. The SD cards are generally in the streams that is the only sort of way I have of loading them into that. And so I'm the one of 3 people at the Calgary Public Library who do that. And it can be a little bit sort of cumbersome at times, but it's just to sort of spell it out to you is like what I do is I go to CELA's website, and through the library's sort of CELA account, I choose titles, and then it goes to sort of the library's sort of bookshelf in CELA's account, and then I'm able to sort of download them to my computer. And from there, what I do is once I have them on my computer, I have to, because they come in a zipped file, many of you may already know this, but I unzip them, and depending on the type of player that I use, I will rename the files at that point. I find that sometimes the file name is, the title of the book, but then with a long number after it and some other information that makes it a little more challenging depending on the player for the patron in turn to cycle through the titles that are on it. So I will sort of shrink the title down and do that sort of thing, and that's part of the unzipping portion. And then I start the process of transferring them from my computer to the device at hand, right? And what's kind of crazy that's happened at Calgary Public Library is, as some of you may be aware, in the last 6-7 months, was that there was a cyber attack at the Calgary Public Library. And so that shut down all sorts of things. And then when we came back online, you can't use a USB at the Calgary Public Library back of house computers anymore. And so they came out with this blanket statement that you can't do that anymore. And I was like, well, that's great and all, but I have this very sort of specific thing that I do that requires me to transfer titles from my computer to a device. And so I was like, well, this won't take long for me to get this rectified. It took several months, and whereas I was like bringing in or using a front of house library Chromebook that we have on hand, and we were transferring them that way, and it was very slow. And I literally had to go out onto the floor and like borrow a Chromebook and then bring it back. And so luckily they gave me a dedicated laptop, which is the only laptop in the Calgary Public Library system that you can use the USB drive to transfer titles over onto the SD cards or onto the envoys and that sort of thing. I know just before, when Janice was relaying to you this sort of what the patron was saying about the envoys and sort of just some things that might be beneficial for people to use are moving forward, is one of my biggest issues I've had, whether we're talking about using a stream or an envoy, is the type A connection on them. And it may seem like a sort of a basic thing and that doesn't make that big of a difference, but it really does, in the sense that what I find with the streams when I connect them at the bottom, and with an envoy as well, with the type A, is that you probably are aware of this, that you have to have a specific you have to put it in a specific way. It's not like a type C where up or down doesn't matter. And generally that's not an issue with me, but for the visually impaired, that is an issue. And what happens is that they try to ram it in the other way, and it ends up gumming up that sort of connection point. So I have a whole host of a collection of streams that have damaged sort of connector ports on them from over the years, that sort of thing happening, right? So, but that being said, that's typically what I spend a lot of my time here at the library, is sort of downloading titles for patrons, transferring them over onto the various sort of players that we have, and then sending them out. I do try to have as much communication with the patron who wants the device as possible, and to keep those lines of communication open in terms of what specific titles they want. I do like the idea that other libraries are just putting together a collection, maybe under a genre or something like that, and just sending them out like that. But I'm here, for me, I try to have the patron themselves choose the titles and to go with me through the CELA sort of catalog of material that's there. And I find that a really, really great sort of, to put some of that responsibility on them as well. And then as well, just like Janice sends out the sort of information, sort of paper about the envoy, I use those as well, that I send out. And on top of that, I've created for both the Stratus and the stream my own sort of handout. It's just a couple pages with some screenshots on them to help people sort of navigate that sort of thing. And while that's great and all, for some people, their vision is compromised. Doesn't matter how big I put the font on the sheet of paper. They need additional support. And so I'm lucky that I'm afforded the time to spend quite a bit of time helping people with that initial sort of time learning their machines. And so again, I spend a big chunk of my day talking to people over the phone about how to use the devices. And I tell people I have infinite patience when it comes to using them. The envoys are like so much easier to use than the streams, I find. So even though, like, after you familiarize yourself with the streams, it's quite easy to use, but certainly more buttons on the streams. And as well, we still send out Stratuses. I will load SD cards for the Stratuses that have that ability, and which is really great. And I really sort of I help provide people with that sort of steps to learn how to use that. And it's a good sort of transition for people who are used to using the Stratus with discs. And then I can tell them, you're going to be using the same device, but they're going to be books on the SD card or the hard drive of it, and they'll be able to use it that way. So the library has about 25 streams, 10 envoys currently, and 35 Stratuses. We also have about 35 iPads that we are loaning throughout the city currently. And one of the newer things we're doing on that is to use the direct player on that, and to sort of get titles on that through CELA for our patrons to use. So really, really exciting. I'm also sort of interested today to hear about how people sort of maybe promote what it is that the devices they have to the people in their cities that they serve. Because I find, like, our website, while it is great, that doesn't drive a whole lot of interest into it. Primarily we're getting people coming to us or calling us or emailing us, whether it's the patron themselves, friends or family members, calling in to ask us about what we have on hand to help them. And as well, one of the biggest drivers for us is going through, I go to care homes and do presentations throughout the city, and I bring streams and Stratuses and envoys with us. And that is driving sort of like tremendous growth in this program. So I'm really sort of heartened when I see that sort of demand come out of those sorts of things. And I'm just wondering if anybody else is doing anything else to sort of drive interest these days. I feel I've probably gone on long enough now. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know we're going to have questions towards the end. I'll be more than happy to answer anything anybody might have, but thanks again for having me.
Thank you very much, Luke. So we'll turn it over to Tara, and after Tara's presentation, we will have definitely time for questions and, comments from people who are here. And I think there were a couple of questions for Luke that we can look at the end of the presentations. So Tara, whenever you're ready.
Okay, well, thank you so much for the invitation to come here and join and collaborate about this wonderful world we're doing, and we're getting adaptable technology out there for folks that need it, and it holds a very special place in my heart and my branch. So our mission here at the South Interlake Regional Library, so I'm specific into the Stonewall branch, is to enhance literacy by providing innovative and accessible and dynamic library services and programs. And so, as my co-presenters had mentioned, there's this need, and as we talk and we collaborate, we use up all of our resources, we got to a point where we thought, you know what, we need to figure out the next step. We have done the audiobooks, and I think Luke had mentioned some people are creatures of habit, and they like to do things their way, and we needed to find a way to get them reading again and getting that comfort level back. So we had a lot of conversations with patrons with print disabilities, and we, like I said, picked up on a lot of their frustrations, but their want and their need to read. So that turned into us doing some research, which landed us on CELA's doorstep. And from there, we needed to find some money. So we were fortunate to get a large grant from the Manitoba Accessibility Fund that not only allowed us to service our own patrons, but we wanted to broaden our accessibility reach to other parts of our province And so by doing so, we wanted to provide service to people with print disabilities that may not have access to smart devices due to economic or technological barriers, such as lack of high-speed internet. So what we decided was that we were going to branch out and adapt our interlibrary loan system that allowed us, through our grant, through the Manitoba Accessibility Fund, the option and the ability to lend Stratus readers. So we went with a Victor reader. I know we've talked about it. We opted to go with those. They're a little bit more robust. They're quite large. They have a few more buttons to play with. But we thought, you know what, we're going to use them for our patrons, but we're also going to put them in the mail, and we were sending them up to northern Manitoba. So they needed to be a little bit, they need to have some robustness to it. So they have worked amazing, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. We do have some Envoys for sure, and we have those out, but we have really found success using the Stratus 4, the Victor Stratus 4 readers. So our project, we purchased initially 11 of those. Again, we were able to do this through some funding. And then since then, we've gotten 3 more. So we're operating with 14 in our collection. And we have some Envoys. And in our world, the Envoys, they kind of sit and collect a little bit of dust after folks are using the Stratus 4s. So they're there, but we do have our shelves bare quite often with folks wanting to use the Victor readers. So once we got the money, we decided that we were going to buy them. So we bought them. So now we're all looking at these machines, and this wonderful idea is, okay, we're going to give folks this adaptable technology, and we're going to get them reading. And I don't know how to do that. So we had to learn. So we went to all the resources on CELA, and I was gifted the lead on this project. So I jumped in and I learned everything to the point where I'm sure the CELA technical staff probably deserve Christmas cards from me. Got to know them that well. So we went from learning that all the way to creating, and I think Luke talked about this, individual or CELA accounts. And so because we've decided, so we have these 14 machines, we went with genre-based. In the inception, we did do custom. And although that is a brilliant thing and a wonderful thing to offer, I'm sure some of you can attest that is a time draw. And so we would start, oh, I love romance and I want some thriller. And so, you know, I would do about 12 titles. And then in 6 to 12 weeks, they'd come back with lists and written out, and I want this author and I want this author. So I did that for a better part of a year. And it, moving to now, we just do preloaded genre-based machines. So we run 14. Some of them are repetitive. We do Western and historical fiction, everything you can possibly imagine. We had a big requirement for inspirational. So we did just recently, I just did curate a collection for that. So we operate, there are some, so we do reads of bestsellers. So I have 2 of the same ones because they go out quite often. So once I figured that out, and I think someone had said, how do you keep track of the collections? I either dictated or I put it onto a spreadsheet, and then I curate the collections once a year. So we have these machines, and say a northern Manitoba library wants it. We worked with Canada Post and using Literature for the Blind. So we were able to ship those wherever they need to go for free. And in return, also with that postage, get it back for free. And so when we send it out, the library will receive it and they'll open it up. We have kits. I think Janice spoke about kits. We have nice little kits. We have adapted the instruction book, how Luke had mentioned it as well, and we made it bigger font, although sometimes it's not big enough. And we have an easy user card. So it's a very large enough to fit in our case, I suppose, that highlights the different buttons on there and gives some quick access points and that sort of thing. We have that, and we have included, again, based on our grant and our funding, disposable earphones. So that's something that we include in there. And I also print out a list of what's on the collection. So one of the things that we did and what we came upon was a cleaning process. So that's something when you lend it out and it's gone for 6-12 weeks and it comes back, we want to make sure that we're giving the next person, you know, a nice, clean, starless machine. So we went through all of that. That was a learning process in itself. Some of the things, some of the setbacks that we had, not setbacks, I won't use that. I'll say some of the feedback that we had. We did when we started this, we had some tester patrons, some of the ones that we identified that needed some adaptable technology, that weren't comfortable any longer using discs, or they had exhausted their collection. So we got these machines done for them. Some of the things that we did, and I think we talked about this, was community outreach. We went to all of the different places and the homes and that sort of thing to get the news out. We got some testers. And the testers gave us amazing feedback. I don't like how loud it goes. I don't like how quiet it goes. It's hard to put the plug in. So all of those things we've kind of made easy to use steps. And they were wonderful. We made some tweaks. And then we thought, you know what, we're going to host a conference. So we hosted a conference and invited all the Manitoba libraries who wanted to come. And our wonderful Jessica from CELA, she came. So we were able to do that as well. And so we did quite a bit of outreach. And that prompted conversations and visibility in our province. And these machines are flying off. They are flying off our shelves. They're constantly out. They're wonderful. We do need to offer quite a bit of patron support at the inception of the loan. And so what that looks like is either you come in, and we often say bring a support person, like bring someone that's going to be around that can help you get started on this machine. Or we have gone to a patron's home if time permits and staffing permits. And so what we do there is we just have a conversation. We go over the basics with them, and we talk about the machine. Then we get them to practice, and we do. We have been gifted time to do that with our patrons, and so we make that an absolute part of our process. And then what we do is we do a follow-up phone call in about a week, and just say, "Hey, how's it going?" Some of the phone calls are amazing. Some of them are angry. And then we walk them through, and sometimes they come back, or sometimes I go there. Most reports back are that it's amazing. It's life-changing. We do put 24 titles on there, and we have a borrowing period of 6 weeks with the possibility of an extension, which we do typically do once. Because 24 titles, 24, 30 hours, it's going to take a while. One of the things that I struggle with is when that time is done, especially for one of our patrons, is trying to get that back, to hand it to another patron. So I think we launched this project in April of 2024. So we did our testing in 2023, and there is still a patron that has one. I am weak-willed when it comes to trying to take that back. So that's something I need to work on, because it should be shared. But that is one thing, because, and I think Janice talked about this, there is a price point to it. It is an expensive piece of technology. And once you get adapted to it and you're used to it, and it becomes such a staple in your life, investing in that yourself it could be difficult, it could be a barrier, right? So just having those conversations right up front has been something that we have started based on feedback and my own weakness trying to get the machines back. I will give you a tip, and this is putting myself out there. When you have those families and the support people out there, check your content first before you get them to play it. The first time I ever did this, I had 2 sons, a daughter, a daughter-in-law, the wife, and the husband. And the husband was our patron. And he sat there, and I said, "Okay, press play. Let's get this going." And he pressed play, and it was right into writhing, loving ecstasy. It was the most embarrassing thing I have been through in my career. And I had to call my branch librarian to come and sit in, because I was so embarrassed. So always check before you do your patron conversations. We have an amazing librarian in our technical services, and she has made a mark record that I need to share with you because we change these collections and they're quite large. We do that once a year. I shoot for January and maybe it gets out in March. And so she has to do that. So she's made a beautiful record. If anyone ever wants to go on our site and have a look at that. And so she's, what I do is I create the list, and then she goes from there and she puts all the information, and we did include the time on there. So there's a staff view in case your patrons want to know. So we have that. And then what we also did, if you're interested in starting something like this, is on our website, we have all of our resources that we have. We have just a tab that you can go in there, and they're all downloadable and they're all editable, and you can change them. So we have all that there if you wanted to, and I'm always around if you want to call. We have had a number of Manitoba libraries invest in one and then call us, and we have more, you know, we love to help, and we want to get as many people reading however they can read going. So we're very, very fortunate that we can offer that. Yeah, it's been an incredibly successful undertaking. I just can't speak enough about it. I would not have been able to do this without CELA's support. And I encourage you, like, we've gotten all of our staff to go on there and just take all the webinars, and it has really helped with just that first point of patron contact. So they're, you know, they have a little bit of value in what they're saying and having those conversations, and really feel confident talking about adaptable technology and what we can offer them. So hopefully I didn't drone on too much, but I'll pause here and I would love to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you very much, Tara. And thanks to our three speakers today. And just one thing I wanted to add about stats. Those of you libraries that have been receiving deposit collections, you realize, you know, that there won't be any more after July 31st. So that also means you won't be getting those annoying monthly emails asking for tracking your CD stats. You won't need
Right. Okay.
You won't need to send those to us anymore. Also, if you are a deposit collection library and you wanted to get extra CDs, if you were scheduled to get a deposit from after July 31st, we can send out a last deposit to you, and we can increase the number of CDs that from the number that you typically get, because it is the last deposit. So you can just contact us at CELA Member Services. And Tara, I just wanted to mention, someone in the chat seems very interested in your MARC records. So maybe if you can send me the link to where that might be available on your website, I can send it out to participants.
Yeah, for sure. It's a beautiful thing. Our technical services librarian is very gifted, and it is a clean record.
Okay. Well, I think, our time is up, but I want to thank the three of you so much for sharing, because I think it's really helpful for other libraries, and it's great that you're all sort of coming from different size systems as well. You know, so Janice, and also the number of staff that are dedicated to working on this. Obviously, that if you're one person, as I think Janice is, and it may be the same for Luke, I'm not sure, but, and maybe all of you, that you're doing an incredible amount, with not always great resources. So we really appreciate it, and I'm sure your patrons appreciate it. So thanks everyone for coming out today. Thanks to Janice, Luke, and Tara. And please do feel free to get in touch with us at CELA Member Services if you have any questions. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks
for organizing.
Okay.
Okay.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and never miss a video.